Well, Adam, I appreciate you spending some time out with us here on the Elk Park Ranch, but give us a little bit of idea what your business does in the valley here, in the Bitterick Valley, and at the same time, I know you work on this ranch here, so, give us an overview there.
So I'm Adam Ondra with Bitterick Weed Management. I'm a commercial applicator here in the Bitterick Valley. Deal with a lot of landowners, small landowners from 5 acres up to large landowners. I've helped do some leafy spurge work on this place in the past, and so we are this ranch is trying to get rid of a lot of the leafy spurge, clean up the knapweed, and then try to get our grass re-vegged back in here so we have good forage for the wildlife. This is a spot right here where you can see this bitter brush, and it's just mowed down, and that's part of that is due to all the cheatgrass that has been here in the past and the limited forage for the wildlife. And so the mule deer, the elk, they are targeting this bitter brush really hard and overgrazing it and knocking it down. So I'm real excited to see here in the future, with having other desirable grasses and other food sources for those guys, if maybe some of this brush will actually, pop back up, because with suppressing the brush like this so much, it's going to start losing its vigor and it could potentially kill it completely off. Right. So it's really important that we can have other components around here for the wildlife. I got a degree in wildlife biology, and that's how I got into dealing with weeds in the first place, and trying to do vegetation management for wildlife as well as livestock. And so seeing something like this happening is amazing, to see that we can actually start getting rid of cheatgrass now. We've got needle and thread grass coming in behind it, so it's giving them a good food source again, and hopefully we can start getting these brush species back up and vigorous again, and growing and filling in more spots that they haven't been in years.
Right. Yeah, we can see right in front of us here, this is last September's application. This was, again, probably was filled with a lot of cheatgrass and possibly some knapweed. So we're going to see the moisture going to the, like you said, the needle and thread and bitter brush. About the valley, I mean, you've been out here mostly for spraying noxious weeds like knapweed and cannon thistles, but we talk a little bit about the winter annual grasses. What are you seeing in the valley across the area besides just here? The winter annuals really taking a hit and taking the direction towards a lot of the moisture away from the natives?
They are, and I think, and now not only are we fighting cheatgrass, but now we got ventonata in here. We got Japanese brome coming in too. Right. So it's taken the niche of a lot of the native species, because there's a lot of growth going on. There's a lot of overgrazing because people have a lot of cattle and they don't have enough ground. So stuff's getting overgrazed. We're seeing more and more cheatgrass coming in. I mean, we're in an arid climate here. We have about 12 to 13 inches of moisture a year, and that's all we have. So we really need to utilize that properly. And with the cheatgrass coming in and soaking up a bunch of that moisture, and with the heavy overgrazing in a lot of places, that cheatgrass is taking over. I have been noticing lately, though, that we're having a lot more needle and threadgrass than I've ever seen in the past. And I don't know what that tipping point was. The last couple of years, we've had quite a bit of spring moisture and pushing on more into summer. So I'm hoping that's maybe part of the reason, and I don't know if that's a whole change for the long haul, or if that was just a recent, just a couple of year type deal. But we're definitely heading in the right direction. And with these chemicals, like just seeing what Graze on Next did with a fall application like this, it's amazing being able to get rid of, your knapweed, getting that, chemical out of the soil once that knapweed dies back, and then getting rid of this cheatgrass, and just seeing how the natives are starting to come back in.
Well, let's talk about, when we're seeing these native grasses and forbs coming, let's talk about the winter around here. We heard from Kevin that there's a herd, possibly 500 to 800 elk on here in the winter. What does this type of growth that these native grasses are getting, because they don't have to compete against moisture, what does that really mean, since you're in the wildlife side of things too? What's that really do for us in the wildlife throughout a hard winter?
Well, and the one thing is with cheatgrass, we don't get a ton of snow in the valley very often, but we do get enough here, and it'll warm up and then crust over and get hard. And so the animals are having to dig deeper, or they're just grazing on the bushes that are above the ground already. And so with these bigger bunch grasses, it's not like the elk and deer have to paw down to the ground to get the little bit of cheatgrass that's starting to grow. These bunch grasses will stand up above a bunch of that stuff, and it'll be easier grazing on them. It'll be easier for them to get the nutrition that they need, and hopefully they won't be targeting this other brush. And so I'm hoping with all that stuff going on here, we'll have a healthier overall herd. And we'll have a healthier whole ecosystem and keep the biodiversity that we're looking for here.
Yeah, instead of just being concentrated where maybe there was some cheatgrass that they can get to, they got a whole hillside or whole range bottom down there to go feed on and spread them out. So that's all plays into the management side of things. And then, you know, herbicides are always going to be part of it.
Yep.
We all wish we had something out here that would just take care of something for years and years, but that's not reality. So it's something that we can come back on if we have to in 3 to 5 years and do something there and get it back. And so that's just part of it, because forestry, we're really growing it, whether it's for livestock and always wildlife too. So it's very good. So any other management practices that you work when you start talking to your other landowners, ranchettes, or anything like that that's different than you do on a big ranch when you're dealing with winter annuals and noxious weeds?
Well, I mean, with smaller places, if you can get irrigation and moisture to it, I mean, we have a larger time frame that we can actually work with for managing that kind of stuff, and you can reseed on a couple acres, no problem. But when you're talking a 4,000 acre ranch, it's not like you can just jump in and go ahead and reseed right behind it, because, you know, it's dry up here. It's not like we can get moisture up here to get other stuff established. So there is a little bit difference there depending upon the size of the ranch and the resources as well. I mean, everyone's got a budget. Some are just bigger than others. But with having smaller ranches, I feel like it's a lot easier to manage your cheatgrass and get it taken care of properly, because we can reseed a lot easier. We can get moisture to that, you know, to that grass to get that stuff established. Whereas with dealing with larger tracts like this, we're just relying on Mother Nature and proper timing of getting that stuff done at the right time.
Well, and it's good to have someone like you as a commercial applicator. You're working with the larger acreage, and you can hear their concerns and direction, and then you're working with the smaller acreage, and at the end of the day, it's everybody's responsibility when it comes to winter annuals and noxious weeds. So they're getting that all in one person, in one company like that you guys deliver. So that's really good. So really appreciate you spending some time out here with us, explaining how your business works, how you work with these large ranchers and large landowners, because at the end of the day, this is kind of what we're striving for: a better ecosystem has more native grasses and forbs for livestock management, and also for us as humans to enjoy this outdoors. So greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.